Sources say the regulator could now start enforcing the new requirement levels by the first quarter of 2019. We have details in this report.
It was initially believed that if banks fail to meet the requirements by the end of this year, they could lose their license just after December 31. However, sources close to the regulator say they will start reviewing the financials of these banks by the end of the first quarter of 2019. This is because the actual stated capital would be known or captured in the 2019 first quarter numbers. However, Joy Business is learning that in order not to be taken by surprise, the governor of the Bank of Ghana would by middle of this year carry out its own detailed assessment of the recapitalization plan submitted by the banks to ensure that by the end of 2018 they would have met the 400 million cedi capital requirement, which some banks say they have already met.
Meanwhile, former staff of Defunct, UT and Capital banks are seeking government intervention over delays in paying their severance packages. UT and Capital banks last year lost their licenses to operate as commercial banks. Now, the institutions were later acquired by GCB Bank. However, 7 months after this move, some of the workers who were asked to go home are yet to receive their entitlements. The spokesperson for the Defunct workers, Stephen Ernest Enning, tells Joy Business governments must intervene quickly to save the situation from worsening.
We've not received our end of service benefits and also our provident fund. Then comes again the big question of our severance. So we are only appealing to the government that they should come to our aid and give us what is due us, because now we are hustling.
But have you heard government saying they were going to issue bonds to be able to declare some of this debt? Can't you just wait for these bonds to be issued before you get your money?
Do you think that the government, don't you think that the government should have thought about all this and its repercussions before giving the bank into receivership? I mean, serving down the lane, if you are not working, you have families to take care of. And you know the Ghanaian setting, your immediate family and the extended families to take care of. Would you have the patience to wait after 7 months so that the government raises money to pay you?
And there comes the questions, whilst government thought of all this, then customers' funds as well. Don't you also as staff think about customers' funds?
We do think about customers' funds because, of course, we are also customers. We are also internal customers. So if the security of customers' funds is assured and is secured now, wouldn't you agree with me that the staff should have also been taken care of to alleviate the hardship that we are currently facing? Because assuming that, you know what the SDI says, that in the scheme of events, after the creditors have been paid, the next line, the next third person on the line to be paid is the receivers, meaning price holders. So you ask the question that in the minds of the legislators, what actually informed that decision?
So what has been your engagement with the receivers so far?
As for the receivers, they are making references to the terms that were given to them, that they need to realize the asset before they pay us. Okay, but we cannot wait till they realize the asset. If we're going to take 5 years before they realize the asset, then we are still wallowing in poverty and hustling. Would you be happy if your wards have sent from school, you are evicted from your rented apartment? What happens then?
But have you been engaging your former managers, i.e. directors and all that, both banks?
You see, we have no problem with our managers because the bank is no more. The people in the scheme of affairs is the government, the finance minister, the Bank of Ghana, the labor ministry. Those are the people we are engaging in. And of course, our lead negotiators, UNICOF, is seriously engaging them. All we are saying is that the time is too long. It's been 7 months. We are pleading that the government will come to our aid and make funds available to pay us.
This is the marketplace. Let's now turn attention to one of our top stories today. And officials of the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, today stormed the premises of the North Industrial Area branch of Melcom here in Accra to remove all products that have not been affixed with tax stamps. The operation is part of the enforcement process for the excise tax stamp policy, which started last month. Some of the products taken off include alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages, According to the head of Education and Public Affairs at the GRA, Bubiansa, the exercise aims at ensuring that only products affixed with the tax stamps are found on the market. The GRA team is currently on a tour of some retail outlets in parts of Accra, and our man Ebenezer Sabute is with them touring the various outlets. He joins us via phone to give us an update. Good afternoon, Ebenezer. Welcome to the marketplace. All right, so unfortunately, we lost Ebenezer Sabute. We'll definitely get back to him to give us some details of the current situation. Moving on the marketplace, former Director General of SSNIT, Ernest Thompson, and 2 other managers have been indicted in the PricewaterhouseCoopers investigations into the controversial SSNIT software scandal. One supplier from among the contractors has also been indicted in the audit. Now, the over 300-page report was presented to SSNIT this morning at the press conference, which ended a while ago. Board Chairperson of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, Dr. Kwame Adokufo, said it is to ensure transparency in the ongoing probe that PricewaterhouseCoopers was contracted to conduct an independent audit into the digital contracts. Let's now hear from him.
Outcome, but nevertheless, I'm very happy to see all of you. Fellow members of the board and management, ladies and gentlemen, and friends of the press, I thank all of you for coming to the Pension House this morning to witness the presentation of the report on the independent review and assessment of the trust by Pricewaterhouse for the 3-year period ended 31st December 2016 and for the 3-month period ended 31st March 2017. The current board and management of the trust were appointed by His Excellency the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, a little over a year ago. And a month later, we had a little meeting with the press. It was also very well attended. And at that time, we asked you to cooperate with us and see the developments in the coming year. At that time, also, we brought in Pricewaterhouse and informed the press and the nation that we are going to do a report. And that report is the independent review and assessment which is going to be presented today by Pricewaterhouse. When we took over, because of the numerous challenges that the trust was encountering and the low level of credibility in the Ghanaian society, that trust had. It was not believed by anybody. It had a very bad reputation. The team, the management and the board decided that there was need for a review of the trust in 4 main areas. The first one is IT review. The second one, internal control assessment. The third one, human resource functions effectiveness. And the fourth, independent financial review. To this end, the board and management initiated a national competitive tender in May 2017.
All right, so that was excerpt of the submission of the board chairman, Kwame Adokufo. Now, the team leader for PricewaterhouseCoopers, Michael Esiedwenpi, who presented the report to the board chair, gave some highlights of the report.
As you did say, indeed, in August, you awarded the contract to perform the independent assessment and baseline review of the trust from the 3 years up to December 2016, and then the 3 months up to 31st of March 2017. We commenced the exercise, and as part of the process, did meet various levels of management to obtain information that helps us to establish the current state of the trust. We did compare the current state of the trust with benchmarks that we have developed in the 4 areas of IT review, the human resource review, the financial management review, and then the internal controls assessment. As part of that process, we did identify certain gaps and also identified certain areas where we believe there were strong systems in place. We, in our report, have catalogued the gaps that were identified, recommendations that we believe, if they are considered, will help the trust to become a lot more competitive in its activities. So this morning, Mr. Chair, we are happy to present that report formally to you. It is a bulky report. The report is structured in 5 sessions with some appendices. Together, it's about 340 plus page document. It's a big one. But why we went that route is to provide as much information as we consider relevant, so that it helps with your own review, and then also helps in the next line of action that the board would like to take in terms of implementing systems that can improve the efficient running of the trust.
Now, on his part, the Director General of SSNIT, Dr. John Ufori-Tinkrine, says the company has picked up in its operations after he took over office a year ago.
Project in question was part of a larger automation project, which was supposed to automate the business processes of SSNIT. That project was also part of this audit, or this review that PwC has carried out. The issues that at that time we said that we have been investigated and documented. The costs of that project has been factored into the report. I think that when we photocopy the executive summary, you will be apprised as to what the distribution is and what the numbers are. So that project is subject matter of that report.
Away from the SSNIT issue, the country has been ranked 4th best place for doing business in Africa. This was captured in the latest Rand Merchant Bank investment rankings. This was revealed at the first National Bank Economic and Business Breakfast Forum here in Accra. Celeste Falconia is macro strategist for Rand Merchant Bank.
Most of these reports that we see where Ghana's ranking across the world, they've got probably pillars of about 50 altogether. Obviously, you've got taxes, you've got investment into infrastructure, you've got the ease of doing business, how you get in and out. I think what we can do with Ghana is make the private sector more involved in what the changes could be, whether it is registering for businesses, whether it is how to get an influx of foreign direct investment, and how you can make it easier for exporters to bring their goods into the market. And again, as I mentioned with Mauritius, for instance, being the best business environment, tax incentives are so important for investment to come in. So I think there's a lot of areas where they can work on. Unfortunately, the levels of corruption is still very high in Africa as a whole, and unfortunately Ghana is not free from that. So I think if the government can bring those corruption levels down, it will also bring significant investment from the foreign investors.
You talked about the economy still having that sustained robust growth next year. For you, what are your basis of your optimism? Let me use that word for us, because just like in the stock market, it goes up, the next level you think is going to come down, but it looks like it will be up for a while before it drops down.
The problem is our while means 2 years. So we believe the growth rate will remain at that 8% for 2 years to come. The only reason for this is oil, and the oil production that is doubling over the next year, that it's the same that it's done last year. So unfortunately, that's what those good numbers are based on. Yes, it will even out. Over the next 3 years, we'll start seeing it coming down to a normal 6-5%. The thing is, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done in the non-oil sector. If we look at the numbers of last year's growth, the non-oil sector only grew by about 4%. So if we take oil out, that's what the economy would have grown by. So yes, we need to put a lot of effort still into the non-oil sector's growth.
That was what I was going to come to. That for you, what are those things that need to be done to ensure that we expand the non-oil sector?
Okay, well, we have spoken at the presentation about manufacturing. It's something that's very low in Africa. I think probably the main reasons are government incentives aren't strong enough, and also electricity is low. So I think if we build on the manufacturing, that is the key to start diversifying an economy. They call it the fourth industrial revolution at the moment, and unfortunately Africa is still a far cry of even going through the first few steps of industrialization. So I think that's a key component that Ghana can work on, so to the rest of Africa. Also investing into the agricultural sector more. We do see it's still a large component, or relatively large component, of GDP. So you need to nurture these components, and that is again government incentives to be able to drive. Just to highlight the risk here, it's very difficult for the government to invest when they still have to consolidate fiscally. So it's a very fine line for what the government really can do at the moment.
What are the
Let's now get back to our earlier story, where officials of the Ghana Revenue Authority today stormed the premises of the North Industrial Area branch of Melcom in Accra to remove all products that have not been affixed with tax stamps. The operation is part of the enforcement process for the excise tax stamp policy, which started last month. Some of the products taken off include alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages. Now, our man Ebenezer Sabute is currently with the team touring other retail outlets, and he's joining us via phone to give us some more updates. Good afternoon, Ebenezer. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Emmanuel.
All right. So where exactly are you now, and what picture can you paint to us?
Emmanuel, we are currently at the Mad supermarket here at 37. Earlier, we went to the Melcom North Industrial Area. From there, we moved to Defunct in the distillery, which is a manufacturing, alcoholic manufacturing company. From there, we went to the West Coast Mall. And what we observed is that some of the products that have not affixed, some of the products that have not been affixed with the tax stamp are being seized. The officials of GRA say they don't want to see the products on the shelf. So that is the operation currently ongoing, Ima.
All right, so at the various points that you have been, what happened to the products? Were they seized by GRA following this order?
So what the GRA officials were telling the managers of the various shops is that since the products have not been affixed with the tax stamp, we don't want it to be on the shelf. And then they also kind of advise them that the next time when we come, we are going to confiscate all the products. So for today, it's just for them to take off the products on the shelf. But the next time when the GRA officials go around, they are going to confiscate the products, Emmanuel. Let me also say that the officials took the advantage to advise some consumers at these various shops to desist from buying products without affixed tax stamp.
Now, I could recall the last time you went with a team. The team gave up to June for these retail outlets to get or to remove all these products without tax stamps. Now, why the need for today's exercise again?
Exactly the case. So today's exercise is just follow-up of what we did the last time. And let me also say that when we went to the West Coast Mall, they could see that they have begun with the affixed. So some of the products were affixed with the stamp, but some were not so affixed. And the manager there did admit that they are in the process of doing it. But as of now, they've not been able to cover all the products. But the rest which have not been covered, the next time we visit, they'll be covered. And that is why the GRA officers also insist that they don't want to see the products. The products should be taken off the shelf until they are affixed with the tax stamp.
All right, so at Melcom, what was the reaction of managers of the company?
Some of the managers who came around earlier wanted to challenge the GRA officials. And so, they also proved to them that you were wrong because the policy began last month. So if up to now you have not been able to affix the stamp, then you are against the law. Today, we are not going to do anything, strictly to you, or we are not going to we are not taking you to court, but all we are saying is that we don't want to see the product on the market. Yeah, they were saying that they've begun the process of affixing the stamp, but they have not been able to finish after the time we pay the visit.
Now, earlier, there were some, reactions as to the cost of the tax stamp affixing machines. Are they still, relevant today?
An interesting incident happened during our talk. We got to Defunct distillery. The applauding the GRA officials, saying that it's a good policy, and even though the machines, they have taken the time, and also install them. So the costs have come up again, but he is saying that no, the benefit of this policy far outweigh the cost. Therefore, it is about time government goes down. He was even suggesting that government should start prosecuting the managers who have not been able to affix the stamp as of now. So yes, the cost is still an issue, but some of them say the benefits outweigh the cost. Therefore, they'll go ahead to affix the stamp.
All right. So what will be your next destination from 37 more?
I'm yet to get a communication from the officials. So far, we've been to about 4 places already. Okay. And from here, I can't. But I'll get a confirmation from the officials, and then I'll give our viewers the update.
Thank you very much. You take care of yourself, Ebenezer Sabute. And Ebenezer Sabute is currently with the GRA task force inspecting various products that have not been affixed with tax stamps on the shelves of some retail outlets in the city. Away from that, some players in the marketing and advertising space are lamenting that an increase in interest rates and low national productivity are having a rippling effect on the success of their businesses. According to Chief Commercial Officer of BTL Africa, Elouen Amanti, this phenomenon usually serves as a disincentive for businesses to resort to agencies to advertise their products, and this goes a long way to affect revenue collection. He spoke with Joy Business on the sidelines of the 5th anniversary celebration of BTL, a marketing solution provider here in Accra.
As a business, I think that the biggest thing that we have had to face is I'll start from the top, which will be the macroeconomic environment. I mean, look, we are not an island. We're a function of the economy that we are in. And typically in the marketing and advertising industry, what happens is that when the macroeconomic environment is not great, brands will squeeze their budgets. Advertising budget is the first one that sort of gets a cut, and once that gets a cut, it affects agencies. So in terms of the last few years, the issues that the general businesses in the country have gone through has affected us. Along the way, it was a big challenge. You had to look at your numbers. You've got sunk costs. You've got to, pay those bills that are already sunk and still make sure that you are running the agency in a way that makes you profitable. And so that's been the biggest challenge.
And before we wrap up, the health and wellness sector is providing opportunities for many entrepreneurs, whether in the food market, IT, healthcare delivery, or fitness. Now, today on the Joy Business Van, we will engage some startups in the space ahead of the Joy Business Health and Wellness Trade Show. Here are excerpts.
Good health is very important. Productivity depends on good health, and that's why many organizations and individuals invest in health and wellness. There are also entrepreneurs who are taking advantage of the business opportunities in the space. The opportunities range from healthcare delivery, healthy food market, fitness, IT, and the list goes on. Ghanaians have become increasingly concerned about their fitness, and a lot more people are now trooping to the gyms. Eli is an instructor at Total Fitness Health Club in Accra. He tells us more about the caliber of people that patronize the club.
Three kinds. Emotionally broken people, exceptionally motivated people, and actually no motivation people. Some people actually come to the gym.
Details of the Joy Business Van will be on Business Live at 5 p.m. And that's it for the marketplace today. My name is Emmanuel. Thanks for watching and have a good episode.